Jai. That is the appearance day of Ganga Devi, who is the daughter of who? Lord Nityananda. And the appearance day of Ganga Mata Goswami. Shri Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Radha Govinda Radha Gopinath Radha Madan Mohan Jiv Ki Jai. Shri Radha Gokulananda Radha Shyama Sundar Astasaki Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Manjari Rati Manjari Ananga Manjari Adi Manjari Vrinda Ki Jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Purnamasi Yoga Maya Devi Ki Jai. Shri Gopi Swar Mahadeva Ki Jai. Sarva Bhishta Pradata Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jiv Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Shri Nrsinga Dev Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravara Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charo Dham Charo Sampradaya Charo Acharya Ki Jai. Akara Matraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Aur Ananya Shakamat Samubha Ki Jai. Shri Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Tri Bhuvana Pavana Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai. Tri Bhuvana Mangala Harinama Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai. Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Shri Nityananda Mahajana Ki Jai. Shri Pancha Tattva Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Kartals. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Gauranga Gaurite Habe Kulakasharira Hari Hari Boli Hena Yane Kavani. Kavintai Chande Karuna Hari Samsara Vasana Kabe Tuchade. Nishaya Charya Kave Shuddha Bhuman Kave Kama He Raga Shri Vrindavan Raghunatha Pade Hoide Akute Kabe Ham Puja Bose Jugala Piriti Raghunatha Pade Rahu Moraya Prarthana Koroye Sada Narotamuda Goranga Volite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Holikina Gareba Mera Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari, Nityananda Pranadana, Nadiya Vihari. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari, Nityananda Pranadana, Nadiya Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari, Gadadhara Pranadana, Sankirtan Bihari. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari, Gadadhara Pranadana, Sankirtan Bihari. Sankirtan Bihari, Gadadhara Pranadana, Sankirtan Bihari, Gadadhara Pranadana, Sankirtan Bihari. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari, Vishnu Priya Pranadana, Nadiya Vihari. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari. Jaya Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Padakamalam, Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha, Shri Rupam Sagrajatam, Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam, Sadvaitam Savadhutam, Parijana Sahitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Padam, Sahagana Lalita, Shri Vishaka Vitamscha Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Trishe Namaha Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayame Kalo Kalamashanashaya Janavapataye Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavani Hari Priye Jayatam Shurutokham Gora Mamamanda Matergati Matsarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohana Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumadha Shimandaratanagar Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prestali Bhisebhyamano Smarami Shiman Rasarasarambi Vam Shivata Tatakstitaha Karshanavenu Swanayar Gopir Gopinata Shri Ishtunaha Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Kiptascha Kamadi Taranga Madhye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prabhannam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishto Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtatarasata Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Make it more this way, so it goes all the way. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Leela Pravishta, Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtatarasata, Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Leela Pravishta, Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtatarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer my Dandavat pranams, the lotus feet of all my Sri Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, especially Srila Gaudiya Vedanta Charya Srila Baladev Vijabhushan Prabhu, whose appearance day it is today, or actually it was yesterday, disappearance day. And to Gangamata Goswamini Devi, whose appearance day is today, we will, of course, hear the glories of these two personalities. And then we will continue with our Manasiksha study. My Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all the Vaishnavas. Alright, so first of all, Sri Gangamata Goswamini. Now, Gangamata Goswamini is actually an acharya in our line. In fact, the king of Puri and all the Pandavas at Puri, while she was on the planet, they all took initiation from her. And they came and listened to her Bhagavat Katha. So how did that happen? We're going to hear about this. So Gangamata Goswamini, actually her birth name was Sachi Devi. She was born as a princess. Yes. Her father was the king of Putia. So Putia is actually in what is now Bangladesh. And there's a district called Rajshahi district. So he was the king of that area, and his daughter Gangamata, or Sachi Devi, was the princess. Now, actually I'm reading Srila Bharati Maharaj's Katha. It's quite abbreviated, but because he just skips over how it happened that she came to Vrindavan at a very young age. But how it happened is that in her childhood, she refused that she would become betrothed to any ordinary mortal of this world. Any ordinary male personality of this world. She was completely attached to only Krishna. So she insisted in her childhood. And so, what could be done? What could be done? And in her very young age, I don't know, I think it was around 16 years of age, something like that. But finally, with her insistence, she was given her permission that she could come and visit Vrindavan. So, when she came to Vrindavan, she came along with her aunt, who was named Madhavi Devi. Her aunt was named Madhavi Devi. And then there in Vrindavan, there was a very great Vaishnava personality named Sri Haridas Pandit Goswami. And so she desired to accept initiation from that Haridas Pandit. He was actually one of the main leading Vaishnavas in Vrindavan. This is just after the time of Mahaprabhu. So, but although she wanted and she requested initiation from Haridas Pandit, but he refused. On what basis did he refuse? Because she's a princess, and having the status of a princess and her very youthful beauty as well, she would not be able to reside in Vrindavan and sustain her life on madhukari, by begging alms door to door. And so he denied her request. So she was very crestfallen. You know that word? Crestfallen. That means all of her hopes were dashed. Crestfallen. But nevertheless, although he wouldn't accept her, she stayed on in Vrindavan, performing all of her sadhan bhajan, her spiritual practices. And she was doing it with great renunciation. Great renunciation. So now, Sri Haridas Goswami was pleased to observe in her such renunciation. And then finally, Haridas Goswami changed his mind. And he blessed her with Harinam and with Diksha mantras. So Srimati Sachi Devi, actually she was quite scholarly. There's a lot of history, because she lived, I don't know, I think it was about 20 or 30 years in Vrindavan, It was about 20 or 30 years. She lived in Vrindavan in this way, and also at Radhakund. Very, very renounced. And she very deeply studied the Shastras with the great Vaishnavas there in Vrindavan. So she was highly educated, being brought up in the palace as a princess. So she was extremely conversant with all the scriptures. And she could also give excellent discourses on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So as a result of this, she became very renowned as a Srimad Bhagavatam speaker. So after some years, Haridas Goswami decided to send her to Jagannath Puri and to the Shripat of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, that means his house, where he used to live while Mahaprabhu was on the planet. And so Haridas Pandit, Haridas Goswami, he instructed her that there in Jagannath Puri she should recite the Srimad Bhagavatam and instruct all devotees in Hari Bhakti. And then he awarded her Kshetra Sannyas. Do you know what Kshetra Sannyas means? You don't know? Do you know what Kshetra Sannyas means? You don't know. Do you know what Kshetra Sannyas means? What? Who else had Kshetra Sannyas? Gadadhar Pandit. So Haridas Goswami awarded her Kshetra Sannyas, and he gave her the instruction that she should take a vow never to leave Jagannath Puri Dham, never to leave. So now, following this order of her spiritual master, she went to Jagannath Puri. So her discourses on the Bhagavat attracted many, many very cultured and erudite personalities to hear, and many Vaishnavas. They would come and they would hear her Katha, her discourses on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, the king of Orissa, when he heard from her, he became very inspired to give her a large donation of wealth. But she refused it, as she did not wish to accumulate worldly possessions. Why did she refuse it, Lalita? Possessions. Yeah. Now, while she was living there in Jagannath Puri, there was a deity who is named Rasik Rai. This is a deity of Krishna, very beautiful, Shyamasundar Krishna, deity. And there was a Brahmin from Jaipur. This deity was worshipped by this Brahmin from Jaipur. But this Brahmin, he was in very great anxiety. After the time passed, he was in anxiety how he would be able to continue the service of Rasik Rai after he would leave the world. Because he had no descendants. So now, as a result, in a dream, Rasik Rai himself instructed him to hand over his service to Ganga Mata in Jagannath Puri. So when the Brahmin arrived with Rasik Rai and related the background to Ganga Mata, so she refused to accept the service of the deity. Yeah. However, as per Rasik Rai's direction, then the Brahmin placed him underneath a tulsi plant in the garden of Ganga Mata, and he went away. So the next morning when Ganga Mata went for tulsi parikrama, she discovered the deity there. Now, how could she let the deity remain without any worship? So she brought him in and she made arrangements for his service. Now the king, who was named at that time Mukunda Dev, he took charge of making all arrangements, and he sent the daily needs like rice, grains, ghee, and so on from his own temple for Rasik Rai's service. So this beautiful stone temple that was belonging to the king, it is located on the main road from where the Ratha Yatra cart of Jagannath passes every year. And the king's father and the king's grandfather, they also used to serve in that temple.
Do you know where that is, Maharaj?
No. Now in the month of Chaitra, some followers of Ganga Mata, who were going for a holy dip at Varuni Ganga, they requested her to join them for their pilgrimage. Now, although she had a deep desire to go, but she could not. Do you know why? Huh? Yes, because she had taken her vow of Kshetra Sannyas. So now, to fulfill her desire, then Ganga Devi appeared to her in a dream, Ganga Devi herself. And she said, "You need not go there to take bath in my waters. I will personally come to Shveta Sarovara." So Shveta Sarovara, it is a pond built by King Shveta Vahana. King Shveta Vahana. So just as King Indradyumna had built the Narendra Sarovara, so this king also built his Shveta Sarovara. Now, at midnight, on that particular Titi, that Chaitra Krishna Trayodasi, when Ganga Mata took a dip in the Shveta Sarovara, So then, as per the instructions that she received in her dream, a strong current of the waters of the Ganga carried her inside the inner sanctum of the temple of Lord Jagannath. So you know where that Shveta Sarovara is? You know? You know? How many times have you been to Puri? How many times? Yeah? You don't know where Shveta Sarovara is? It's now called Shveta Ganga. Do you know where that is? From Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. Do you know where that is? When you come out of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house, directly across that small road, if you go down these stairs, you remember? Yes. Okay. So that was called Shveta Sarovara. But now, anyway, you'll hear about this, how it got the name Shveta Ganga. Okay? So now when she took a dip, because she was told by Ganga Devi to take a dip in my Shveta Sarovara. And it will be as good as taking a dip in my waters. But when she took the dip late at night, then what happened? Suddenly the Ganga came roaring, picked her up, brought her all the way from there to the Jagannath temple, and deposited her inside of the temple of Jagannath, which was locked with 3 gigantic locks. Here Srila Bharati Maharaj explains how the temple of Jagannath every night is locked with 3 different locks by 3 different personalities who are in charge of 3 different aspects of the temple. So here they are. So she came now into the inner sanctum of Lord Jagannath. So the main door, okay, of the temple, the main door of the temple is locked with 3 different locks at night. And not only that, it is sealed with wax. And just before Mangalarti, then they open these 3 locks. In the presence of these 3 designated persons. One lock is opened by the representative of the pujaris. And he is addressed as Bhitarchu Mahapatra. Bhitarchu Mahapatra. Then another lock is opened by the representative of the king. And then the third one is opened by the pujari as a representative of the pandas. So now, Bhitarchu Mahapatra enters first. And then he addresses Lord Jagannath. He addresses him 3 times. He says, Sarveshvareshvara Manima, Rajadiraja Manima, Devadideva Manima, and then he opens the door. Now at that time, 3 pujaris simultaneously enter the sanctum to offer arti to the 3 deities. Then the Mangal Arti begins. So this is the daily mandate. Now on this day, the pujaris entered. They were astonished to see Sachi Devi inside the temple. Now, they began to allege that she had hidden inside the temple with the intention to steal the valuables from the deity's treasury. So they detained her in a hajat, that means a room for detention, within the temple itself. Now later that same day, when it was time for the bhog offering to Jagannath, then he did not come to accept it. Do you know how they know that Jagannath didn't come to accept it? You never heard this, huh? Huh? They're waiting for him to come to accept the bhog offering. But on that day, he didn't come. How do they know he didn't come? Here's how they know, didn't know. This is how they knew he didn't come. So, when the pujaris, when they take achman before offering the bhog, then they see a reflection of the deities of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra respectively. Where do they see this reflection? In the purificatory water in their palms. Yes. But they did not see this on that day. So then, assuming that some offense had been committed, so as a result of which Jagannath was upset, then all the preparations were given samadhi. Then a fire sacrifice was performed, after which the bhoga was cooked again. But even when the bhog was offered the second time, Jagannath did not accept it. When this was repeated the third time, then the king was alerted. Immediately the king came before Jagannath, and he resolved to fast till Jagannath accepted the bhog. And then through an aerial voice, Jagannath declared, "Because the pujaris accused my dear devotee of theft, I will not accept any worship from their hands." Then hearing of this, the priests, they prayed, "We have committed an offense at your lotus feet, but you are our only shelter." Then the Skanda Purana verse, "Bhumo skalita padanam, bhumireva avalambanam, twayi jata paradhanam, twameva sharanam prabhu." O my Lord, just as the ground is the only support for those whose feet have slipped, so also you alone are the only shelter, even for those who have committed an offense to you. And so when a person falls down onto the ground, then with whose support will he stand up again? He will stand with the support of the ground itself. And then the pujari said to Lord Jagannath, "These are your own words, so please forgive us." And then the Lord said, "Only if all the pandas, along with the king, becomes her disciples, I will accept their service." So thereafter, when the pandas approached Srimati Sachi Devi for initiation, she was taken aback. She said, "By virtue of your being the servitors of Jagannath, you are actually all my Tirtha Gurus. So how can I possibly accept you as disciples?" Then the Pandas persisted. "If you do not accept us as disciples, Jagannath will not accept our service." And then Lord Jagannath also instructed Sachi Devi in a dream to initiate them. So thus, she finally conceded. And so the king, being the principal servitor of Jagannath, he became her disciple along with all the Pandas. And after that, Jagannath accepted their service again. So, after this incident, this Shvet Sarovara came to be known as Shveta Ganga. And Srimati Sachi Devi, she came to be known as Ganga Mata Goswami, or Premanande. So this pastime is very significant for our Sampradaya, because although it is not the usual case, but in this case, such an extreme case of a princess having no attraction at all for anyone other than Krishna, being completely aloof and renounced from all the wealth of her birth and her family and so forth. She renounced all of that and came to Vrindavan. What a very exalted example. Now, of course, at that time, there were many, many exalted personalities living in Braj, in Vrindavan. And what kind of atmosphere it must have been. Incredible atmosphere at that time. So, can we close that door? That door. At least a little bit. Yeah, so Ganga Mata Goswamini, she's in our Sampradaya, in the Sampradaya coming down from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. She is an Acharya, actually. There are a few different, very exalted personalities, like Janava Mata, who is the direct Shakti energy potency of Nityananda Prabhu, and is actually Ananga Manjari in Krishna Leela. And there are a few others who are highly exalted personalities. I was just reading in Chaitanya Bhagavat yesterday. It's like the second last chapter. I'm almost finished now, Chaitanya Bhagavat. And there's an incredible chapter, description of the glories of Sri Advaita Acharya. And there's so many pastimes in there of Advaita Acharya coming to Puri, along with all the other devotees, and there were many different groups who came separately from different villages in Bengal, and they walked all the way to Puri for the Rath Yatra festival time. And the names of, there must have been at least more than 100 devotees who were named directly by Vrindavan Das Thakur, and they were also glorified with one or two sentences. What was their relationship with Mahaprabhu? And then there's so many descriptions. There's one pastime, I'll just repeat this pastime, that all these personalities were coming to Jagannath Puri, and there were throngs of them. And for Sri Advaita Acharya's group, Advaita Acharya was coming along with a few hundred devotees, and they were carrying also very special preparations cooked by Sachi Devi herself, and some of the other ladies like Sita Thakurani and so forth. Preparations to give to Mahaprabhu. Yes, so there's a whole pastime of how Advaita Acharya wanted to cook for Mahaprabhu and invite him to his house in Puri. Because every day a different Vaishnava was inviting Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu would come there to their houses with various sannyasis and brahmacharis and so forth, some of his associates. But Advaita Acharya became very determined that he wanted to cook personally everything. And Sita Devi was assisting, but he personally cooked each and every preparation. She supplied 10 different types of shak, and he cooked 10 different ways, 10 different types of shak. So, who is Advaita Acharya? He's actually the Supreme Lord himself. He is a combination of Mahavishnu and Sadashiv. So, Advaita Acharya was thinking as he was cooking, oh, I really would love to serve Mahaprabhu, only him, no one else. But how will that be possible? Because he always comes with so many of his associates. If he would come alone, then I could personally tell him about each and every preparation and how they were made and so forth like this. But if he comes with the other associates, he will not eat so much. So I want that he will come alone. And what was arranged? A huge storm. Lord Indra, he arranged for a gigantic storm to suddenly whip up And all the sannyasis were blinded by the storm, and they just went off here and there wandering. But near to Advaitacharya's house, the storm was very subsided. And then all of a sudden, Mahaprabhu appeared all alone and came into the house. So this desire of Advaitacharya was somewhat fulfilled. And there's a very beautiful description of the ecstasy, how Advaitacharya was expressing his ecstasy, and how Mahaprabhu was expressing his ecstasy, and how they were paying obeisances and hugging one another and glorifying, endlessly glorifying one another like this. Yes. So there's another pastime in which Advaitacharya instigated. He instigated throngs of people in their kirtan, because these devotees who came to Puri, they were all overwhelmed in ecstasy that they're with Mahaprabhu in Puri. And they were constantly doing kirtan, whether Mahaprabhu was there with them or not. They were doing kirtan. And so, one day, Advaitacharya came into their assembly, and he began singing and dancing and everything. And then he began instructing all of them that they should glorify in the kirtan Sri Sachinandan Gaurahari, Lord Chaitanya himself. Instead of only chanting the names of Krishna, they should chant his names. Right? And this was never done in Mahaprabhu's presence. You know why? Why they would not do it in Mahaprabhu's presence? Mahaprabhu would become shy and he would go away. Because he was trying to show by example that no one should be glorified as being the Supreme Lord, although he is the Supreme Lord. So this pastime is very vividly described there, how they began to glorify Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu came and entered into the assembly of the Vaishnavas and began singing and dancing. But then when they started to chant his names, now he stopped. And then he walked away. So there's a couple of different encounters after that where Srivas Thakur came to see Mahaprabhu. No, that's a different one. Where Advaitacharya himself came to see Mahaprabhu. And then he began to glorify Mahaprabhu, and he began to say, "My dear Lord." Oh, no, Srivas, yes. Srivas came to see Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu told Srivas Thakur, "Srivas, I want that you will glorify Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu." So then Srivas became very happy and overwhelmed. And then he began to glorify that he was on the level of Prahlad Maharaj and one other, I'm not remembering who the other personality, a Vaishnava personality. And when Srivas Thakur said that to Mahaprabhu, then Mahaprabhu, he actually slapped Srivas Thakur. And he began to chastise him severely. How can you say that Advaitacharya, he's on the level of Mahadev Shiv himself. He's on the level of Vishnu. How you can compare him to Prahlad Maharaj and this other? And Srivas was very happy to be chastised by Mahaprabhu. But then Srivas Thakur gestured with his hands. And he looked up at the sky. And he put his hands in such a way that he was trying to block the sun. And then Mahaprabhu asked Srivas, what is the meaning of this? And then Srilas began to explain that, my dear Lord, is it possible that anyone can actually block the sun? Never. Not possible. So in the same way, highly exalted personalities who are the topmost realized sages and saints, and also incarnations and expansions of the Supreme Lord Himself, how is it possible to diminish their glories? It is never possible to diminish their glories. And in the same way, my dear Lord, how is it possible that the souls of this world are glories? You are more effulgent than millions, supporting that all the Vaishnavas can chant the name of Mahaprabhu. This is the first time. Toward the latter part of Mahaprabhu's pastimes, that they were telling to him, my Lord, how can you refuse? And Mahaprabhu, in a humble way, he just relented, you see. So, oh yes, there was a pastime describing the ecstasy of all the devotees who were just overwhelmed and rolling on the ground in the presence of Mahaprabhu in Kirtan. They had come to see him. They were so much steeped in praying. All the symptoms are coming on their bodies. So, in this scene, Srimad Das Thakur describes at a distance, at some distance away, although they couldn't approach Mahaprabhu, but they were adjacencies. And then Vrindavan Das Thakur explains, this is the, how did he put it, Vaishnavi Shakti, something like that. This is the Vaishnavi Prem Shakti in Mahaprabhu's assemblies. That these exalted personalities who are in the form of ladies. And he explains that there. He explains there that by their devotion, their bhakti and their prem bhakti, all the Vaishnavis are actually equal to all the male devotees. By these two symptoms. So in Mahaprabhu's movement all over the world, male and female devotees are accepted in the Sankirtan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Prabhupada, he was very proud of his daughters, his disciples, who were very forcefully preaching and going with their husbands and starting temples around the world and like this. So this is the beauty of Mahaprabhu's transcendental Sankirtan movement. So Ganga Mata Goswamini Devi ki jai, Ganga Puja ki jai. Today is a good day to go and bathe in the Ganga. So now I'm going to read about Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu, whose disappearance day is today. No, it was yesterday, on Saturday. So Srila Bharati Maharaj is telling that today is a very special day. It is the appearance day of Ganga Mata Goswamini, and also it is the disappearance day of Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. So then he again reminds us that it is essential to remember Vaishnavas on their appearance and their disappearance days. And this act of remembrance, it is a limb of bhakti and failing to remember them on their titis, it is considered an offense. So now we hear about Baladev Vijayabhushan Prabhu. He appeared in Odisha in the Kandayat Kul, in that particular caste division. It doesn't say which caste. Kandayat Kula. So, after completing his initial education there in Odisha, so he proceeded to Karnataka in Mysore, where he studied the Vedanta and other scriptures. And then he went on to various other places across India, continuing the study, his study of the scriptures. Now eventually he reached Vrindavan, where he studied Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita under the tutelage of who? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, whom he accepted as his Siksha Guru. Now, once the king of Jaipur, who had accepted Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as his spiritual master, and therefore he belonged to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, the king of Jaipur. And he was faced with a challenge from the scholars from the other Sampradayas, like Ramanuja Sampradaya, Nimbarka Sampradaya, Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. And he was challenged by them to prove the legitimacy of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. They did not consider, these other Sampradaya Pandits, they did not consider that the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is Sattvata, meaning that it is bona fide. And what was the reason why they didn't consider that the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya was bona fide? Because they didn't have a commentary. They didn't have their own commentary on the Vedanta. Although the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya had commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita and on the Upanishads and on Srimad Bhagavatam, but in the traditional Vedantic circles, it is an accepted custom that for any Sampradaya to be considered authentic, so it should have its own commentary, which on Prastan Trai. So what is Prastan Trai? Prastan Trai refers to the three canonical texts of the Vedic philosophy, comprising Bhagavad Gita, the 10 principal Upanishads, and the Vedanta Sutra. So this is called Prastan Trai. And this is accepted as custom for any Sampradaya to have these three. So, therefore, the Ramanandis were contesting against the Gaudiya Vaishnavas that they should give up the service of the deities of Govinda and Gopinath, and they should entrust it to the members of a bona fide Sampradaya. So now the king of Jaipur was faced with a predicament. So the king of Jaipur sent word to his guru, Padmanabha Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, requesting him his intervention. Now, at that time, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was very advanced age. And here, Srila Bharati Maharaj says he played the part of being incapacitated due to his advanced age. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur could not travel to Jaipur in person. And hence he sent his scholarly disciple, Baladev Vidyabhushan, in his stead. It was the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Dev that there is no need to write any commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Why? Because Veda Vyas, who is the Adi Guru, he has already written. And what has he written? In the Garuda Purana there is a verse that describes Arto yam brahma sutranam parathartha vinirnaya Gayatri bhashya ruposo Vedartha paribringhita Purananam samarupa Sakshad bhagavatodita Dvadasha skanda yuktoyam Shatavicheda samyutaha Granto ashtadasha sahasra Srimad Bhagavatabhida. Here's the translation of these verses, describing that the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the authorized explanation of what? The Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra. And not only that, but it is a further explanation of the Mahabharata also. And it is the explanation also of the Gayatri mantra. And it is also the essence of all Vedic knowledge. So, this Srimad Bhagavatam, containing 18,000 verses, it is known as the explanation of all Vedic literature. So it is clearly stated herein, Vedartha paribringhita, which means that the meaning of the Vedas, Vedartha paribringhita, the meaning of the Vedas has been explained elaborately in Srimad Bhagavatam. So hence, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had asserted that the Srimad Bhagavatam itself is the natural commentary on the Vedas, and so there is no need to write anything new. But now in Jaipur, upon the insistence of the other Sampradayas, Baladev Vidyabhushan contemplated, if I were to write a commentary, will I be going against the instructions of Mahaprabhu? And will I become an offender at his lotus feet? So what shall I do in such a situation? So then he remembered Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who had been requested by Sri Haridas Goswami to compose the additional pastimes of Mahaprabhu, such as the sannyas pastimes, etc., which were left undescribed by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur in his book, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was in a dilemma. He considered that in this advanced age, my eyes cannot see properly, my hands shaking, my ears are barely functional, and in this situation, what shall I do? A Vaishnava is Guru, and Agya Guru Nam Avacharaniya. Agya Guru Nam Avicharaniya. That means that the Guru's instructions must be followed without any deliberation. Then, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami went to the temple of Sri Madan Mohan, who is the Sambandha Adi Deva. That means Madan Mohan is the bestower of knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Lord. Sambandha Adi Deva. So then Krishnadas Kaviraj fell at his lotus feet, praying for guidance, and he remained there waiting for his instructions. And then the garland of Sri Madan Mohan loosened and dropped, and the Pujari Gosai Das gave that prasadi garland to Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Then accepting this as Madan Mohan's sanction, he later wrote in his 8th chapter of Adi Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, E Grantha Lekai More Madan Mohan, Amar Likan Jena Suker Patan. He said, actually, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is not my writing, but it is the dictation of Sri Madan Mohan. And my writing is like the repetition of a parrot. So then he's telling, my writing is like Shuker Patan, the repetition of a parrot. Shuka is a bird which repeats what it hears. So I write what Sri Madan Mohan speaks to me. Now, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan went to the temple of Govinda Dev, who is the Abhideya Devata, and he fell at his feet in prayer. So in sanction, Govinda Dev's garland fell, and thus he named his commentary on the Vedanta Sutra Govinda Bhashya, indicating that these are not my words. I have written whatever Govinda Dev made me write. So now, Baladev Vidyabhushan was given a month's time to compose the commentary, but he completed it much sooner. And it eventually became the topmost commentary. So Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan wrote that the same Lord Sri Chaitanya Dev, who disapproved of writing any commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, he has now, as Govinda Dev, he has ordered me to write the commentary Govinda Bhashya. So Srila Bharati Maharaj is saying, so glorious is his writing of that commentary that it was even accepted by the Oxford University. A professor from Shantiniketan who had been to Oxford, he mentioned that he found an English translation of the Govinda Bhashya there, although it was not available in India. Some verses from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita were also mentioned in it. So he got inspired to read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And later, when he acquired a copy and he read the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he became a Vaishnava. So he personally related this incident to us in an assembly which was convened on the occasion of the inauguration of Mahaprabhu's temple. Now, here is also a picture here of Shyamasundar deity. That is Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu's own personal deity. He's there in Jaipur. Now, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, he has also written, no, he's there in Vrindavan. What am I saying? Yes. So Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan has also written the Gita Bhashya, a commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, among numerous other scriptures. So, have we heard of this Gita Bhashya commentary on Bhagavad Gita written by Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan? Have we heard of it?
Gurudev used it, Prabhupada used it.
Not Gurudev.
Gurudev only used Krishna.
Yes. Prabhupada used, and he gave in his dedication that this commentary is dedicated to Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu, who wrote the Gita commentary, Gita Bhashya commentary. So thus, these stalwart Vaishnavas contributed greatly to firmly establish the Gaudiya conceptions and teachings, like Jiva Goswami did through the Sat Sandarbhas. Yes. There is one deity who is named Vijay Gopal, and that deity is where? We went there with Gurudev. when we visited Jaipur years ago. That deity, Vijay Gopal, is there in a place called Galta. You remember that place? Galta? So that deity in Galta, which is right next to Jaipur, that deity was established by Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan Prabhu, Vijay Gopal. Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan also installed the large deity of Shyama Sundar in the Shyama Sundar temple in Vrindavan. And then the smaller deity of Shyama Sundar on the altar there was manifested by Shyamananda Prabhu, and we know that pastime. So we were there in Galta, and there was a class being given, and in that class it was mentioned that Baladev Vijayabhushan, he was there in Galta when he wrote that commentary, and then later he brought it to Jaipur. So now on Srila Bharati Maharaj is glorifying the stupendous power of the mercy of the Vaishnavas. So on today's Titi, Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan disappeared from this material realm. So we will remember him and we will pray for his mercy. Because, why should we pray for the mercy of the Vaishnavas? Because without the mercy of Vaishnavas, we can never attain Hari Bhakti, and we can never be liberated from Maya's grip. So Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, he wrote in his Manasiksha, he wrote, Pratishta Shadrishta Swapacharamani Me Hridinatet Katham Sadhu Prema Sprishati Shuchire Tannanumana Sada Tvam Sevasva Prabhudayata Samantamatulam Yatatam Nishkasya Twaritamihatam Veshayati Sa. So this is the verse in the Manasiksha. I believe it's verse 5 or 6, where he's talking about his mind being like a low-class dog-eating woman. And how this bogus mind is always desiring pratishta. So here's the translation of this verse. O my mind, how can pure divine love appear in my heart as long as the shameless, dog-eating, outcast woman of the desire for prestige is audaciously dancing there? Therefore, O mind, always remember and serve the immeasurably powerful commanders of the army of Sri Krishna, the beloved devotees of the Lord. And they will at once banish this outcast woman, and they will initiate the flow of immaculate Braja Prema in your heart. So Srila Bharati Maharaj is quoting this, and he's quoting this in relation to the power of the Vaishnavas. So he's explaining that as long as the untouchable woman in the form of Pratishta Asha, the desire for name and fame, as long as she is dancing in my heart, then how will the touch of the pure love of sadhus touch me? So, is there no solution? Yes, there is. Here it is. Sada Tvam sevasva prabudayata samantamatulam. This means, always serve prabudayata samantam. The word samantam means senapati, commander-in-chief of the army. Their work is to fight and drive out the enemies and to make the country free from danger. So, they will fight and they will drive out the enemies like this unchaste woman sitting in our heart, and they will make the heart a place where praying, love for God can dwell. So, the big question is, who are these commanders-in-chief? Who are they? Rupa Sanatana. They are the Senapatis of the Vaishnavas. When one is in the shelter of the Vaishnavas, when one is surrendered to the Vaishnavas, there can be no fear or danger. The three great impediments in Hari Bhakti are what? Kanaka, Kamani, and Pratishta. One may give up Kanaka and Kamani. What is that? What is Kanak and Kamani? Yes, Kanak. Material acquisition of wealth. Kanak. And what is Kamani? Not just women. Not just women. It is also the desire to go to heavenly planets and enjoy there. The desire to have so many wealth and followers and children and family members and all that. This is also Kamani. So, one may be able to give up Kanaka and Kamani, but the victory over Pratishta, it is very difficult. However, wherever the mercy of the Vaishnavas prevails, there is no fear or danger. So therefore, it is very essential to surrender to the Vaishnavas. So Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Govinda Bhashya commentary by Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. The great generals of Mahaprabhu's army, the Senapatis, Rupa Sanatana, and all the great Vaishnavas Ki Jai. Gaur Premanand. Alright, so we have a little bit of time left, not much, but we're going to utilize this to continue our reading from Srimana-Siksha. We left off where two verses have been quoted from Vilapa Kushumanjali of Raghunath Das Goswami. Srila Gurudev is quoting these two shlokas. And what is he doing that in relation to? Gurudev is explaining something very deep and very confidential. I'm reading these two verses. The first one is the very first verse of the Vilapa Kushumanjali, and the second one is the 72nd verse. I'm reading those two verses in their purport and their translation. Tvam rupa manjari saki pratita puresmin pungsa parasya vadanam nahi pashyasiti bimbadare kshatamanagatha bhartrikaya yate vyadayi Kimutach Chukapungavena. O dear friend, Rupa Manjari, you are famous in Braj as a very chaste girl. You never so much as look at the face of any other man. Your husband has been away at another village for the past few days, and yet your lips are freshly cut. Can it be that some excellent parrot has bitten them, having mistaken them for a imba fruit? And then, hearing this, Srila Rupa Goswami smiled. Then Raghunath Das Goswami expresses, being further absorbed in this internal mood, he expresses the service for which he anxiously longs. This is 72 verse. Vilap Kushamanjali. Shri Rupa Manjari Kararachita Pada Padama Koshtendra Nandana Bujarapita Mashtakaya Hamoda Takkanaka Gauri Padaravinda Samvahanani Shanakaish Tavakim Karishye. Srimati Radhika is fatigued from the labor of amorous pastimes, and she is resting with her head in the lap of Sri Krishna, and he is gently stroking her hair. And Rupa Manjari is gently massaging her legs and fanning her. Now, Rati Manjari, that is Raghunath Das Goswami, Rati Manjari is watching this with greedy eyes and is praying to obtain the remnants of Rupa Manjari's service. So now, Sri Rupa Goswami, he understood the inner desire, that means the manobishta, of Sriman Mahaprabhu. What's the verse?
Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yina Bhuttare Swami Rupam Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantika. So in this verse, which words mean manobishta? Which words mean the innermost desire, the heart's desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Manobishta. So, Rupa Goswami, he understood this manobishta of Sriman Mahaprabhu, his inner desire, and therefore, that's why Rupa Goswami was so dear to Mahaprabhu. So, what about us? What about us? We should also understand the inner desire of our spiritual master, Sri Guru, and the holy Dham, the Goshta, and the residents of the Dham, Goshtalayin, and we should serve them according to our ability and our eligibility with deep faith and firm conviction, even if we have to lose our life in their service. Do not consider the practice of sadhana to be higher than their association. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. One gets the mercy of Krishna only by the mercy of the spiritual master. If the spiritual master is not pleased, then even pleasing the whole world will not help. We are under his shelter. We have surrendered to him. So one's own independent endeavors to serve, they'll turn into fruitive activity, karma. So a disciple should come so close to the spiritual master that he becomes worried even for our eating and our other bodily necessities. Now, Gurudev goes on and he says, Sri Radha Kunda is the best place in all of Vrajadhama. And Govardhan is better than Nandagaon or Gokul or Varshana. Govardhan is better. So in regard to ordinary and extraordinary service towards the residents of Braja, ordinary service is called Drishyaman Prakash. This means whatever we can see with our material vision. So one who sees in this way, he understands that although this is the holy Dham, everything here is not eternal. There are all kinds of people in the Dham, even thieves and rogues, who are trying to cheat the pilgrims. So when an ordinary person sees this, he becomes somewhat disillusioned and he starts disliking Braja. But how does Sri Raghunath Das Goswami see Braja? His vision is expressed in the following verse that he wrote in his Vrajavilas Stava, verse 102. What is this verse? Yat kinchit tritagulmaki katamukam goshte samastam hitat sarvanandamayam mukunda dayatam lilanukulam param Shastrair eva muhur muhu sputamidam nishtankitam yachnaya Brahma derapi sasprihena tadidam sarvam maya vandyate. This is included in the Stavavali compilation of all the songs and verses of Raghunath Das Goswami. Here, Raghunath Das Goswami is telling, with great longing, I worship all the living entities of Vraja, including the grass, the bushes, the flies and birds, which are filled with transcendental bliss. Their fortune is so great that it is aspired for even by exalted personalities like Sri Brahma and Uddhav. So Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures have repeatedly and clearly propounded their glories. They are very dear to Sri Mukunda and they assist in his pastimes. So Sri Das Goswami, he finds that the trees, the creepers, the grass, the animals, the birds, tigers, bears, flies, rats, and even mosquitoes are fully spiritual and favorable to Krishna's pastimes. Can we think like this? Our firmness in devotion is not so steady as this. Suppose that a bull is rushing towards us. If we don't save ourselves from him, the bull will hit us with his horns. So, at our stage of eligibility, which is what? Our ordinary vision, Drishyaman Prakash. This is all right at our stage of eligibility. So now the word Gostalayin refers to the residents of Braja. So those residents of Braja who have inner sentiments like the eternal Ragatmik Brajvasis, those residents, even though they may not have taken birth in Braja, they are the real Brajvasis. Especially if they have the topmost Madhurya Bhav of the gopis, and they are performing bhajan in this mood. We should understand these to be the true residents of Braja, and we should serve them. So how should they be served. We should hear the Hari Katha emanating from their mouths, and we should serve the dust of their feet. And what is the meaning of the dust of their feet? It means to develop excellent loving attachment, rati, for them through service. That is the dust of their feet. To develop excellent loving attachment, rati, for them through service. And this in turn, it will improve one's bhajan. Always remember that everything in Braj, even the trees, the creepers, the birds, animals, everything in Braj is chinmay, transcendental. And it is favorable to Krishna's pastimes. So, whatever Raghunath Das Goswami says, that is the eternal truth. So we have to reach up to that stage where we can also have the same vision as he has. Now, we should not have any relationship with those who have taken birth in Vraja, but they are antagonistic to bhakti. No. Associate with those residents of Vraja who have a similar mood to ours. We are engaging in Krishna bhajan. Now, an impersonalist Mayavadi considers Krishna to be illusory, and also accepts the impersonal liberation to be superior to eternally serving the Lord. So he may be pious, he may be renowned, he may be virtuous in all his dealings, but he believes in the famous impersonalist aphorisms, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, that all this is indeed Brahman. So then there's another person. That other person is serving Krishna, but is not yet on the liberated platform. He simply has attraction for the path of bhakti. So, who is worthy of respect? Of course, those who are serving Radha Krishna. The association of Mayavadis will ruin one's devotion completely. Now Gurudev is telling who are the Sujane Bhushuragane. This refers to the Vaishnavas of other Sampradayas, and also it refers to the Brahmanas. One should also respect them. Do not disrespect Brahmanas. Don't disrespect anyone, but associate only with those who help to increase our bhakti. Then, Swamantre, the word Swamantre, one's Diksha mantras. These are chanted 3 times a day. Such daily performance of religious rites at scheduled periods of the day, this is called annik. Some persons chant all 3 in the morning and not during the rest of the day. Some chant only the Hare Krishna Mahamantra given by their spiritual master. The mantras that are given by the Guru are the Brahma Gayatri, that is for men only, the Guru Mantra, Guru Gayatri, Gaur Mantra, Gaur Gayatri, Gopal Mantra, Kam Gayatri, Panchatattva Mantra, and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. These should be chanted with deep faith. Consider these mantras to be the form of Bhagavan, and chant them with love and affection. Now the spiritual master gives these mantras after some consideration, but the service to the spiritual master should be done first, and the mantras can be chanted afterwards. Now don't think that these mantras are ordinary. In the story of Gopakumar, in Sri Brihad Bhagavatamritam, bring him to here with Koilo, no longer saw a flute. He disappeared, but that daughter of the The word Mahotsavai, how? Bliss. Krishna runs again. Blissful festival manifested to a blissful pastimes of Radha. Yes. Vaishnavas, one lack stable mind. What? Bhakti. Uninterrupted bhajan of association with Shri. So one should think, number of rounds. Became very that he could not finish his towards the Vaishnava Raja. In verse 1, so as you perform cunning, O mind, and his associate, how to increase our love, take care of our daily needs, perform the present, strive by the chanting of the whole, the body becomes is. Unless one gets the essence of these instructions, unless one gets the association of Simanandi. Jai Shri Manas Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Vaishnava Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Namah